Howdy, and welcome to TBK Homeworld. And in this video, we're going to be going over the unboxing and installation of this RYOBI Stowaway Wall Mount Workbench. This is model STM408 and it came out in 2025. Some of the key specs on this one is it takes up to 300 pounds worth of weight capacity when mounted directly into studs. That part is very important. It has an auto lock for one-handed operation. There is a locking pin for added security so the table won't go down on its own. There is also a two-handed release for easy stowaway. On the back that's attached to the wall, you're going to have a permanent 5-inch shelf that is always there. It's great for bins or small parts and those kinds of things. And the really nice thing I like about this is that it has struts on it for a soft close, so you never have to worry about this slapping up against your wall. The work surface measures 44 inches by 22 inches and it's 3/4 of an inch thick. The shelf surface is again 44 inches long and it's going to be 5 inches deep, and it's the same 3/4 inch work surface. This currently sells for $99 at your big box store, but definitely make sure that you shop around because we found it at $99 at our local box store, but if we were willing to drive an extra 5 minutes, we were able to pick this up for $10 less. That's right, it was only $89 at the store. So definitely be doing some shopping around before you purchase it at your closest Home Depot. So looking over the quality of this top, it is definitely of the same type of material, same wood, and same structure that the Speed Bench is made out of. So if you have the Speed Bench or you've seen the Speed Bench, then you know what kind of work surface this is made out of. Now there is a difference between this one and the Speed Bench because this is not necessarily going to be used in a shop. Now we're going to be putting it on our shop wall, but if you're wanting to use this like in a utility room or a crafts room or even a young child's room, this would actually work really good as a stow and go. Even truthfully, this would also work really good as a laptop desk if you ever want to stand up. So they don't put any type of markings on the top of this. There's no label on the top. There is no measurements on the top. So that actually increases the versatility of this particular top. So I really like that aspect of it. So that's the main work surface. However, on this shelf, you will see that there is a RYOBI label on the right-hand side, and then you have the warning labels here on the left-hand side. Now these are stickers, and it does feel like it's on top of the varnish. So if you wanted to, you could actually remove this off the surface. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on mine. And on the back, you'll see that we have a bunch of nested nut receivers, same thing with the work surface down here, and that's going to be where this tightens into the hinges that we're about to open here. Now one thing I give credit to RYOBI on is they actually do a pretty decent job on labeling their stuff most of the time, and you can see that we have the right arm and we're going to have the left arm, so like this for the screen. So that is going to make it a lot easier for you to know which side goes on which whenever it goes up on the wall. The nice thing is it does actually come with good hardware. We have a bunch of bolts that are going to attach the surface to the swing out legs, but we also have very nice anchor bolts that go into your 2x4s. Make sure that you're putting this into 2x4s. If you have a shop that has metal 2x4s, you're gonna wanna put some type of backing behind it. And also, if you're putting this on a sheetrock wall and you put some of those big beefy connectors in there that just go into the sheetrock and not into a stud, please understand that whenever you put the weight on the tip of this, it's gonna pull this thing right out of the wall. Make sure you're putting them into wood studs. That's the best way that you can ensure you hit that 300-pound weight limit. Now, whenever it comes to your height, it all depends on what you want to do. I already have a bench that's here, made it very thick, very beefy, so that it's able to withstand bench vices and clamps and things like that because I don't want it to move. On this one, I want it to be higher. I don't want to have to bend over to do work. I want to have where my work surface is higher than most other work surfaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mount mine just underneath my electrical outlets here. That's going to put it at a work height that I'm comfortable with and is what I'm looking for. Most of the time, you're going to put it about 36 inches up off the ground. That's standard cabinet height. So if that's what you're looking for, go ahead and put it at 36 inches. Now, in order for this to flap all the way down and so it can fully close, you're going to also want to keep this at least 24 inches from the ground. Now for my installation, I'm going to use the new Sigmund CM-SO2. I actually reviewed it in the last video, so if you're curious about it, go ahead and click on that. I really love it because what it's doing is it's shining us a nice level line on the wall. Now there's all sorts of ways that you can level. You don't have to do it this way. You could grab a bubble level, or you can even do a cheap man's level, put it up on the wall, get it close to where you want, put a battery on top and move it. If the battery rolls, you know it's tilted one way or the other. So there's all sorts of ways that you can do it if you don't own a level. But if you're in the market, I really like this Sigmund. It's really nice. Check out the link in the description if you want to watch that. So I'm just going to make sure that my 2x4 is where it's supposed to be, and as per typical, it is just to the outside of an outlet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this line and I'm going to measure down 3 inches. And 3 inches is actually going to get you the distance down that you need for the very first hole. So we're just going to put a mark right there, and we're going to make sure that we are good to go. I'm going to move it to the left just a little bit. I'm good, but I know I have a double stud here, so I'm going to move it left just a hair. So now I'm going to take an 1/8 inch drill bit. I'm going to go ahead and drill out this hole. It is advised, especially with how thick these bolts are, that you do give a pre-drill. It will help those 2x4s in there not split on you. And trust me, the last thing you want to do is weaken those 2x4s with how much weight this can possibly carry on it. Now I'm going to go ahead and take an 8mm socket with an extension and this nice 1/4 inch hex impact, and I'm going to go ahead and screw this in. Now I'm not going to put it in all the way. I'm just going to get it in there and into the wood and have about 1/4 inch stuck out so that I can effectively hook on my arms. Now you'll see whenever we open these arms, we have a nice little round hook here. This is why you leave it out, because now you're going to be able to actually put this on top of the screw and let it set down on there. So now that we have our first screw on and we've tested it and we know that everything is good, I like to do that step first. It's just a personal preference. We're now going to attach these to the 5-inch shelf. Now, they say in the instructions to attach it to the 5-inch shelf first. So if that's what you want to do, feel free. This is, like I said, just my personal preference. Now, whenever you get ready to mount these arms, there's something that's very important or it's going to throw off your entire thing. If your L bracket is on the inside, meaning the large metal part is on the outside, it's going to be too wide. But if you take this and you flip it around, then that's going to put it on the correct fashion. So the brace will be on the inside with the L bracket being on the outside. And here is the very easy way to tell. When this is up against the wall, you want to be able to read RYOBI. If you put it the other way, then it's actually going to flip the whole thing and make it backwards. So that's the easy way to know which way it is. Now I've got my markings. We go ahead and make sure and we are good with our 2x4. So now we can go ahead and put our bolt in here. You can see that it will throw you off big time if you put the L brackets on the wrong side. That's actually what this mark is. That's why it's so important you put those brackets in the correct location. Now let me check one more thing here, because I noticed I'm actually right on the edge of this 2x4. So here's what I'm going to do. If you remember, I told you I had a double 2x4 on that end. And this is why prep is so important. I'm actually going to move it onto the second 2x4 instead of the first one, so I can come down here and get a better hit on this 2x4. So as you can see, I've got a wide berth here, but to do 16-inch on center, I actually need to bring it over. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now real quick, just to make sure I came over enough, I came over 1 inch. So if I come down here and I move this over 1 inch, and that would be right there, how would I be? I would be dead in the center of that 2x4 down here. So I moved it over properly. Let's go ahead and set this bolt now. There we go. So here's my new mark, and we'll see that we are nice and good on that 2x4 now. Again, we're not gonna go all the way down, we're just gonna get it close. Before you try to put this up on the wall, go ahead and lock your arms out. Now we can hang our shelf on the wall. And now if we look at our level line, you can see that it is nice and level up against that. Now, one of the things that I did with this is I didn't tighten it very tight against the wall. I've got one that's a little bit snugger than the rest, but what I wanna do is I wanna put this top on first, and then I wanna open and close it a couple of times because I wanna make sure that everything's gonna fit the way that it's supposed to, and that allows for just a little bit of wiggle room because it's gonna be very important that this closes properly up against the wall because that's the whole idea, is to make this thing collapsible. So the next step that we need to do is we need to put this little metal L bracket on here. Now it's very important to know that this isn't supposed to sit flush with the edge. So if yours isn't sitting flush, then that's correct. Now this metal L bracket is going to go up against the wall itself. It does not go to the outside. So now we're gonna lower the table. And as you can see, it does not fall against the wall, but it is definitely nice. I like where it is. It's positioned well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take my impact and seat these bolts completely. So we now have it mounted on the wall. Now it is a little crunchy. It kind of surprised me a little bit on that. If you're used to the speed bench, trying to put that thing together, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It didn't matter what I did, even if I had the lower screws out, it still was just a little crunchy whenever it went completely up against the wall. There is a positive force that I have to do in order to fully seat this up against the wall. So understand that you will have to push it a little bit, at least in my application, in order to do that. But I really like the bench. Opening it up, you lock the two edges in place and it's very nice. I love the height that this thing is at. This is a perfect height if you're working on electronics, if you're doing soldering, if you're just experimenting with something in your shop, or if you're sewing and you want to stand up. This is really nice height for a work surface for me. This would also be very easy for a nice laptop. This would be the perfect height for a standing desk for me. Obviously, your height might vary depending on how tall you are, but for me, this is perfect and I really like it. Now, there is one more feature that this has on it that I didn't cover yet in it, and it is this locking pin. It does have a pin, and there is a hole over here on the right-hand side where it actually slides in, and there's levers that you push up underneath, and what this is doing is it's locking the lever out so you cannot operate it. And all you're supposed to do is take this nifty little magnet here, pull off the double-sided tape, and you're supposed to put it on the back right of your table, and then you can grab your piece, put it on there, and anytime you need it, it's going to be stored on the back of it. So there you go. That's how you install the RYOBI wall-mounted stowaway workbench. I actually really like it, even though it had the little bit of an issue with the close. It's still really nice. I love that I can adjust this. If I end up having somebody who is shorter, I can actually drop this on the wall to a lower height. Make sure that you watch the whole video if you're getting one of these because of the nature of these. You want to make sure you put them on the right side. If you have any questions about the installation of this particular product or anything that we have covered on this channel, please leave it in the comments below. We really love hearing from you all. It actually makes a huge difference to have those positive comments that are out there, especially great comments like this one. Thank you for leaving that comment. And remember, keep your tools sharp and your batteries charged. We'll catch you on the next one.